Ace here, and welcome to the making of a Ninja Warrior of Roblox episode. That's obviously what you're here for, otherwise you wouldn't have clicked this video. So basically what I'm just going to be doing is showing you the basis of what goes into making a simple Ninja Warrior of Roblox episode. But before I actually show you how I do it, I'm going to answer a question that a lot of people have been asking me, as well as what I do to record runs, how the process goes, and eventually to the point where I start editing them. So over the years, people have been asking me what editing software I use to edit runs. Well, for the first 6 tournaments, I used a program called Presto VideoWorks 6. It was the first editing software I ever owned that was like advanced, not like Windows Movie Maker, which is simply, you know, put in captions, put in music, and be done with it, blah, blah, blah. I call it advanced because it was basically kind of an editing software to help you get started to make, you know, top quality stuff. And basically, I used that. I had it around, again, 2009 or 2010, editing, you know, other videos I've been doing, like during the early years, like before Ninja Warrior of Roblox and stuff. And since I still had it, I figured it was good for the first 6 tournaments. But after my old laptop died out in late 2013 and got my new one, basically Presto VideoWorks 6, it came on a disc. Like, I had a little disc for it. I don't know where it is, but I'm sure I still have it. I don't think I threw it out. I'm pretty sure I didn't throw it out. I still have it, but I just can't find the disc at the moment. But basically, it's one of those systems where once you put the program to a computer, you cannot put it onto another computer unless you first uninstall the program from the old laptop. But since the screen is pretty much, and the computer is pretty much dead, I pretty much have no way of getting back on that old computer to uninstall Presto VideoWorks 6, or at least I could if I were to switch the hard drive from both my old laptop to the one I'm currently using. But I didn't want to risk, you know, losing another laptop since it took me a while to get that one. And I didn't want to, you know, just be like, okay, I just messed it up, now I'm going to have to wait even longer to get a new laptop and pretty much end Ninja Warrior of Roblox until further notice. So I didn't want to do that, so I pretty much figured I'd go ahead and try something else. So I looked it up, or looked on the internet to find some cheap editing software programs I could use. And the one I found at that time was 2 other editing software programs, but they are way too complicated to figure out and not worth my time, and I think they just didn't really meet my expectations. They were pretty cheap. That's what you get. Usually the free ones are pretty, you know, pfft. So then I got Bubba Video Editor 9, and it was pretty simple to figure out. I pretty much got all I need to figure out right away, and I used that for tournaments 7, 8, and 9. Yeah, for 7, 8, and 9, I used version 9. But then I upgraded to version 10, which, in my opinion, is actually a downgrade from version 9 in the sense that, you know, putting text and stuff is a little more difficult. Like with version 9, you had the ability to control the exact size and actually, you know, expand the text to how you want it to be. But with version 10, you couldn't do that. Like when you increase the whole world altogether, and yeah, it was a mess. So there was that for I used that starting with tournament 10. And pretty much have been using that since. I know there's currently a version 11 out, which I know there's a version 11 version at the time of making this. There's probably a 12th by now, but when I tried version 11, Bubba really slapped us in the face with that because it was way too complicated to figure out. Like, it was even more complicated than the first 2 times editing software I used before Bubba. It's like, what? Like, and so basically, after giving up on 11, I basically tried to find yet another new editing software to use for Ninja Warrior Roblox. But the biggest problem is, they're all the exact same thing. They are exact the same as Bubba Video 11. Every single editing software I found on the internet, whether it's cheap or worth a few bucks or so, maybe 50. They're all the exact same program. Like, what's different with them? The whole purpose of like companies making any software is to have their own unique thing, but they're all exactly the same. It's ridiculous. Like, you might as well get the cheapest one on there. Boom, it's basically the same as all the others. I mean, what the heck? So I basically gave up on that and just stuck to use Movavi Video Editor 10, despite its problems and the problems it has ever since 11 came out, and the fact that they're not even gonna fix version 10 because they want you to get to the newest version. Alright, so another question I get asked is, what do I use to record runs? Again, during the first 6 tournaments, I simply used the Roblox recorder, which was okay at the time. The only problem was, ever since the first tournament, or maybe it was the second tournament, I can't remember, but pretty much since the early days, it would kind of like be a little choppy with a few certain runs, and yeah, I didn't like that. I wanted runs to be like all smooth, crisp, that kind of thing, and the Roblox recorder wasn't doing that. Which is weird, because when I use it to record other stuff, it's okay, but when I record stuff at the Ninja Warrior of Roblox place, it gets choppy. It makes no sense. But starting with Tournament 7, I used a different type of video capture, I guess screen capture. Let's call it screen capture. I used the Livestream Procaster to capture, you know, the screens. Like, I used that to record the runs, and some of my other videos for like Bubba plays and stuff, I used the Livestream Procaster to record those. But you know, during Tournament 11, if you were noticing, runs were getting a little choppy and laggy and stuff, and that's because apparently I was using up so much memory with Livestream Procaster, which sort of makes sense, but it was getting annoying. And ever since Tournament 12, I've been trying to find a new one, and the 2 ones that a few friends recommended to me, which are also the screen capture programs that people use for Twitch and stuff, they were not compatible with the laptop I was using, and the one that did, it's crap. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because, you know, the internet hates me or my computers hate me, but basically the recommended screen captures that I was told to use, they do not want to work with me. So I pretty much stuck with Livestream Procaster for Tournament 12 and 13, but then starting in Tournament 14, which you should see soon, I used another thing from Movavi called Movavi Screen Capture, and that's what I've been using since then, and it is also okay. Like in the beginning, it had a few laggy, choppy points for some runs, but that's only because, you know, I was just figuring out how to use it. I thought it was a simple record screen and be done with it. It comes out smooth, but it doesn't. It doesn't really come out smooth. It turns out I had to, you know, remove some features that came with it that was causing the problem. So hopefully with Tournament 15 in the future, it should be a little more clear, smooth runs. But no promises there, and if it turns out, then I'm going to have to find yet another screen capture studio that's not choppy, laggy, and complete bullcrap. Like, after I've recorded all the runs for a tournament, and I'm ready to edit that tournament, how do I decide which runs are going to go into the tournament and which one's going to be bonus runs? Well, for the most part, it's mainly those who have signed up to compete are going to be featured. There are a few occasions where, like, if it's run just looks so terrible I don't feel like using, or if it's a typical 3.0 alt, then I may make the exception and replace it with a few ones with accounts that actually try, like make their character look decent. With the exception of a few veterans and the all-stars, I'll basically just put everyone in a random number. Like, if there's a run that's like a newcomer, regular something, I'll pull up random.org and go from like either number 1 to maybe 20 or something, and click it, and whatever number gets generated, that's the number they get. But if I don't like that number, or I feel that they deserve better than that, then I may try again. So basically, most of the runs are decided by random.org, depending on their experience. their experience with other courses, their status on, my course, basically all that with random.org, and whatever number's in, that's their number. The only exception are there are a few certain veterans, like depending on those who have done well in the past tournaments, or the tournament that came before, and the All-Stars. Those are the exception I make. I basically just give their number based on what I think they deserve. Like usually between the 80s to then 100. Like most of the effects for the show, I did by myself using GIMP or Microsoft Paint. Threw it together, put it in the episode, and that was it. For the timer, I used GIMP. I basically used an art program called GIMP. I basically made each second frame one by one. It took a lot of work to get both versions of it done, but I used GIMP to get them done. Then I used Windows Movie Maker to put it all together frame by frame, and like each frame was like the duration of 1/10 of a second, with the exception of the beginning and the end. And that was basically that. I put it all together through Windows Movie Maker, published it, and that's what I used for the timer. Or that's how I made the timer. With the other graphics, like the obstacles and stuff, that was also on my own, also using GIMP, but luckily I didn't have to use like Windows Movie Maker to put it together frame by frame. There have been times where tournaments 5 and 6, where I did use Windows Movie Maker to post them together, because I like to do more than just simply put, okay, this is that obstacle, they're on that obstacle, how many obstacles are this? I kind of made them glowing, and with Tournament 5, it was kind of a mess. But Tournament 6, it was a little more nicer, in my opinion. And like I said, for stuff like that, I use Windows Movie Maker to, have that loop going on to make it look like it's going through a loop until they reach the next obstacle and stuff. That's kind of why, the stuff in 5 and 6 kind of look more awesome than they did in the past. Logie Bear, aka Fluffy Tails 2011, he's been helping me with the opening, the credits, the graphics, the timer. He's been helping me with that since Tournament 6. I mean, he actually only did the opening and the credits for Tournaments 6, 7, 8, and 9, but he's actually been helping with the with the opening, credits, and the graphics and editing since Tournament 10. And I really do have to thank him for that, because it really is a huge heavy burden off my shoulders. And now, finally, what do I do to put all this together? Well, I'll show you. So, this is the headpiece I wear when I'm editing an episode, whether it be I'm listening to music. When I put that in, that'll be explained a bit, or if I'm listening to music while I work. I usually like to listen to different types of music while I work on an episode to keep it from being boring. True, it means that I may work a little slower, because I think I've read that if you listen to tunes while you're working on something, it makes you go a little slower, but the positive side, it keeps the experience from being dull. Now, usually when I'm working on an episode, I'll either be sitting on the table where I eat. I guess you can call it a kitchen table or dining room table, whatever you want to call it. Usually I'll be sitting around this area when I'm working on an episode, and sometimes I'll be in the chair in my bedroom, where I sleep, obviously. I'll be on that chair to work on an episode. I'll also be doing it when I'm doing other things, when I'm not working on episodes, such as editing in another video, or chatting with friends, or playing Roblox, or whatever. I'll be doing that as well.
Now this is what Movavi Video Editor version 10 looks like. These two right here are two different sound files. This first one down here is where I'll put the music. I usually like to adjust the volume on this pretty low, like roughly around the mid-20s, because music in this gets pretty loud. And the second one is where I put the commentary. That's unadjusted because my voice itself is already pretty low when I'm recording, because headset microphones aren't really that loud. Now this one right here is a video file. This is usually where the intro and the runs are placed. Then there's another video file right here. This is where the graphics, like what obstacle the competitor is on, that sort of stuff. This is usually where that goes. And this fifth one here is another video file. This is where the timer and the little status thing, like the 3, 2, 1 thing, that's where it goes. And another sound file right here, this is where the sound effects go, such as the beeping for the 3, 2, 1 go, and the Logie Bear saying stage 1 complete, and that sort of stuff. These two are little title files. This first one here is usually where most of the basic text is placed, but it's also where a competitor's number is placed, while the one above it is for additional text that I couldn't put into one simple thing, and where a competitor's name is. So you can see number A right here is basically a competitor's name, while the title one below it is where a competitor's number is, and that's where the basic text is placed. Now this video file right here is basically to put the little text box. You know, like saying like okay, this competitor was formerly known as this, or this competitor first competed in this tournament, that sort of thing. You've been seeing that throughout the duration of Tournament 13. And the final text one above is the info that goes in that text box. Pretty simple. Now, of course, when you first open up Movavi, or just start a new project, it always starts off with 2 audio tracks, 1 video track, and 1 title track. How I'm able to add all those tracks is I would hover over this little arrow here that says Add Track. You can't see the highlight right now, but anyway, you just click this, and you can see here it's got a video track, audio track, and title track. For video track, it's basically all the runs, like competitors running stuff, titles, and that sort of stuff. The audio track is basically for the commentary, the music, and you can even just use the audio from the video itself for this. And as for the title track, it's basically just the captions and all that. And as an example, I opened up a new project, and I'm going to click video track. Alright, it ended up right here. Let's say I wanted it above this title track. What I would do is I would just click and hold this, and drag it above title, and there you go, it's up there now. Very simple. And of course, when I want to add something onto here, like this is basically everything that I'm getting ready to put in an episode. All I would do is I would simply click import, I would click add media files, then I have to search through my computer to find whatever I want to add, whether it be a photo, a video of someone running, any other type of click, or even music. That's what I would click. Now you're probably wondering how all of this is possible right now. Well, basically what I would do is, sometimes when during a competitor's run, I would click it and see, this is how it originally looked when I was recording it. Basically how I shortened it to the way it was, you know, like this. I click on it and I would use the crop tool. So you go to effects, scroll down, go to transform, click on the crop tool, and to make sure you want it the way you want it to, you make sure that the save proportion box is not checked, and so you're able to adjust it the way you want to. Usually how I would do it is I would just make it to where I'd hide everyone who's in the chat, and I make sure I cover up the little lock space. Yeah, this is before I knew how I could just, you know, click on the chat or the server box, whatever, to hide all this. There's also a way to get rid of the chat as well, but also that's more apparent in a later tournament. Just before I actually gave a crap. Now, as for how, you know, you're able to see the graphics and the timer and stuff, well, as you can see, right, the graphics are like one file above where the run is. So basically, what I do for this is I would simply click the chroma key blue to erase everything that's blue in this one frame, and usually just all blue like everything else, like the numbers here, and that are pretty much like a darkish gray or black color. A really dark color that's not blue. And I basically have to use the chroma key blue to get rid of it, otherwise it would look something like this. Yeah, without the chroma key blue tool, all you'd see is a blue screen. You wouldn't be able to see how the competitor is doing and whatnot. As for the timer, which is a frame above, the competitor list and stuff, it's the same thing. I use the chroma key blue tool through the effects to get rid of it. Otherwise, again, you just see a blue screen. But since this is above this, if I didn't have a chroma key blue, it would look like this. All you see, you don't even see the graphics and stuff. You don't even see. All you see is the timer. You don't even see like the statistics, like the name coverage and where the competitor is.
Now, another thing that I get asked is, what music do I use? Well, since the beginning, even today, I normally use video game music because that's usually the type of music that larger companies won't jump down my throat on for using. I mean, granted, there are still some they'll jump down my throat if I use them, but for the most part, yeah. Plus, since I'm not really a musical type person, I can't really come up with my own music to use. So yeah, I basically have to resort to using video game music until I can find someone who's willing to make a different type of music I can use for episodes and stuff. Now, usually it's video game music from games that I play while I was, much younger, or games that I've heard of but never actually played, but like their music, or if it's games I never heard but suggested from friends who suggested I use that for an episode. Now, of course, I have a few suggestions in the past to use. The only problem is I don't just like use any type of song. I kind of like to use music that's... Well, here's an example. I've had suggestions in the past to use music from Dynasty Warriors, and while it's a great game and has a great soundtrack, the problem is the songs are a little too fast and too rock and roll-ish, and let's be honest, not really fit for a Ninja Warrior run, don't you think? I mean, I don't think so. So yeah. Basically, depending on the type of song, how quick it is, and if I like it and it seems fitting for a run, I'll use that. But if it's not, well, at least it was an idea, right? Now, probably one of the biggest things of all is the commentary. Well, that's really not too difficult. There you go. What I'll do is I'll just, first publish the episode the way it is, and then when it's done, I'll then write this. I'll first watch the product at the way it is, with the effects and graphics and the sound effects and stuff, and if there are any problems, during the processing, whatever. The point is that if there's any problems that happen with the video itself, I'll either fix it during the final production with the music and commentary added. What I'll do is I'll watch the episode not only just to see if there are any problems, but also if there's a joke I feel I can add to the run, I'll add that as well. So what I'll do is I'll write a little script with Notepad, or the Notepad for that came on my laptop. I'll use that. Like, I'll write down a script and write down how many times that person has known, because I also have a separate list of who ran which tournament, how many times they've been competed, what names they were in the past, that kind of stuff. So I'll include that, the number of appearances on the show, and not counting bonus run because I don't count those as official appearance. But anyway, there's that. And the script that includes what line I could put down and where they fail, any things to talk about, that sort of stuff. In the past, I basically just went with it and just decided whatever. But I wasn't really proud of doing that because there were some jokes that I felt could have been perfect for the episode. But the only problem is I didn't use it, whether it's because I simply forgot about the joke while adding the commentary, or the episode was going by in a much faster pace than I gave it credit for, and I didn't have time to keep up with it. Which is usually caused by my mumbling, which I've been doing a lot in the past, and I still hate that. or because my pacing itself is just slow. So how do I record the commentary? Well, there's a little sound recorder program on my computer as well. I'll turn that on and then play the episode and then just roll with it from there from the start to finish. Just add the commentary, and if I missed a joke, too bad. Or if I missed something important to say, that's just the way it is. Because I don't like to backtrack and go over all the commentary if I miss like one note or something. If I miss like a lot, or I wasn't proud of the way my commentary sounded, if I was babbling too much or mumbling too much, or if my voice itself sounded a bit too low or some other interference, that'd be a reason to do the commentary over again. But if I miss that one thing and whatever, I just go with it. Because I don't think it's worth having to redo commentary just because of one slip up.
Testing, 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 testing! Ah!
And then when I'm done, I just simply press stop, and we're good. And of course, during the final production, it's pretty simple. Just add the music where I want it to, adjust the volume, add in my commentary, and that's that. So there you go. That's what goes into making a basic Ninja Warrior of Roblox episode. I hope you enjoyed. And if you want to see all that put together into one episode, make sure you click the annotation that should be around here. Yeah. Go click that and you'll see all that work get put to use in the newest Ninja Warrior of Roblox episode. And speaking of Ninja Warrior of Roblox, I will catch you all in that episode and in the episodes to follow. Till next time, ciao peoples.